Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For St. Pete's Sake, the official podcast of the Stonewall Democrats of Pinellas County. My name is Christian Hotchkiss. I am the president currently of the Stonewall Democrats of Pinellas County, and I am your host, joined as always by my fabulous co-host and vice president, Laura. Laura, how are you today?
Hey, Christian. Wow, that is such a loaded question. How are we today? In the small sense, ate. I went to work. I made it to work. I remembered to feed myself, and I drank, my allotted amount of water today. So, we got that going on.
Go.
In
There
the
you go.
in the
It's the little
broader
wins.
sense, yeah, exactly.
It's the little wins that matter the most, and we got to keep those little wins to keep us, sane right now.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. For people who are just listening and not watching the pod on YouTube, we don't have a guest today. We're just having a little yap session basically on everything. I think just base going off your very normal "How are you?" question. I'll be a little bit more in depth and honest too. I have chronic PTSD that is, came from stuff that happened to me in 2019 and 2020. And something that happened to me is I was assaulted while protesting President Trump and then subsequently doxxed. And it was a whole big thing. So this is all very triggering for me, and so my PTSD is, off the chain, it's and just dealing with all that, and so it's yeah, I just wanted to be, super honest. It's just it's crazy, right? This isn't.
it's a rough time right now. It's not this isn't normal. This is what we're going through right now is not normal.
It's
We're
not.
talking about Trump floating territorial grabs, January 6th rioters getting pardons and now asking for refunds, immigrant communities living in fear again, protesters living in fear again. It feels like everything is louder, crueler, and more unstable, but that's not an accident. Chaos is the governing strategy. It's always been his governing strategy. That's what he thrives on. He lives in the chaos. He loves the chaos, and he wants to distract us as much as he can by throwing every single little thing out there and finding out what sticks to the walls.
Yeah, I definitely yeah, the distraction from the Epstein files, let's call a spade, which, as of I think today, as we're recording, it's January 21st. As of today, the Department of Justice is more than a month overdue of turning over the files to Congress. And, there's definitely a part of me that I know this is distraction from all of that, because that's gonna be devastating, obviously, but also the other part of me knows that this has been the plan. This has
Mhm.
been the plan. They wrote it down, Project 2025, they're doing it,
Yep, absolutely. And they gave us a pre-warning. They showed us who they were, and people decided not to believe them, and now we're facing the consequences. At this point,
exactly.
Trump isn't governing; he's daring the country to stop him.
Right, and that's, I don't know, what's it Minnesota's putting up a fight, and I'm so, I listened to another podcast that has a large audience base in Minneapolis and St. Paul, so, I'm thinking about all of, my fellow tens, a lot right now, and they are it's bad, it's bad. They're not going the kids aren't in school. They're doing distance learning. They're doing e-learning because it's unsafe for them to go to school. I just and then they've just started an insurgence in Maine. I started an insurgence in Maine today. I saw a headline. And this is where I am. And I don't know. I heard a rumor that um who is it? Philly is next. And I'm like, Lord. Okay, so that's where it's gonna start bumping because you are not gonna do that in Philadelphia.
Right.
They already have like, the Philadelphia Black Panthers are already, like, out there, they're on my social media talking, and they are being interviewed by the mainstream media too, like, that that's
It's rough and
if
it's
that happens,
scary.
that's where it's gonna
And
go.
yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, it's going to get to a point where people just stop. They don't resist. They get to a point where they're just so fed up, and I think that it's just a boiling pot of water that's about to like explode. By the way, I just want to give a
Absolutely.
quick disclaimer, real quick. I am outside. It's a beautiful night outside right now, so if you hear any traffic in the background, I'm on the major highway, but it's fine. It's
I'll
seven
take care of
o'clock,
that in
7:30 at
post,
night.
don't you
We'll be all
worry.
right. So
I'll
yeah,
take
I
care
mean,
of
with
that in editing too.
perfect, perfect, perfect. So I mean, with the ice rates and things like that, it's scary. It's really like I'm scared. I'm scared, and I don't know what else to
Yeah,
say about it.
and it's not even like, that's just what's going on with that particular situation is that particular station of ice, and, like, that's just, like, one of the things going on here, but then there's also, the next level, the world, the foreign policy level of it where, let's not forget that we just, like, abducted and kidnapped the president of Venezuela. He was not a good person. He was not legitimately elected. Like, I get all those things. Like, but like, you
You don't
just
go in
don't
and kidnap
kidnap
your president.
heads of state. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Like, it's just, and then, oh my gosh. And now the Greenland of it all, which is like becoming a real thing? Question?
he's yeah. He had an interview
All
today
because he
where
doesn't understand the Mercator projections on maps. Like,
I don't understand what his thing is about this because he said today that he wasn't in an horrible interview or speech that he gave. He was all over the place in that speech, but it was wild. Um,
oh, at
he said
Davos.
that, yeah, in Davos. Yeah, he said that he wasn't going to use force to take over Greenland. But I'm like, you've been saying that for so long now, and it's taken all of the EU to come together, or all of the NATO allies, I should say, to come together and get you to finally say that. But your rhetoric has consequences. Your words have consequences. You're talking about acquiring Greenland by military force. That's not diplomacy. It's not alliance building. That's just colony cosplay, colonial cosplay.
Exactly.
I mean, it's allies across the world are openly rejecting us, and he said that what did NATO ever do to us? The only time that Article 5 of the treaty, where all of the countries came together, was after 9/11. And do you know that we
9/11.
still
Yeah,
have those
exactly.
countries helping us in Afghanistan right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, the way I could actually go on a really long tangent, which, like, maybe would need to put a little tinfoil hat on for it, on how so many things can be traced back to 9/11 and George W. Bush and the Patriot Act that followed. But anyway, we'll stay in the now. We'll stay in the now before we come even crazier.
Right, right.
Um,
I mean, it's
'Cause then
definitely not
actually it goes
America
back to
alone.
the George W. Bush election, which anyway, I gotta stop. I gotta stop.
We'll cut it off there. We'll cut it off there. But
Yeah,
it does, and it's just not America first, which is what he ran on, right? It's America alone at this point, and to completely cut us off from our allies like that, like Greenland is a sovereign territory of Denmark. Denmark is a
right.
NATO ally. If he's so concerned about border or like security and national threats like that, national security, we can always go in and put more troops and more bases there. We have a
Right,
base
that's
there
what
right
they've
now. It's a
said.
Space Force base. So you can absolutely
God,
go
the
in and
Space
talk to
Force,
the
I forgot
leaders.
about that.
Yeah. Well, it used to be an Air Force base, but now it's a Space Force base.
Yeah, right,
And
but yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. That is an ally. You don't go in and threaten them with military action to steal their land. And you definitely like you
right.
can't even talk about buying their land. It's not for sale. It's their sovereign territory. The citizens of Greenland don't want you there. America doesn't like the citizens of America don't want you there. Stay in your lane, dude. Focus here.
Yeah, and, they're also, like, one of the, insane things that he's said to, like, try to, "Oh, we're not gonna invade, we're gonna buy, and you're gonna give $100,000 or something to, like, every person in Greenland because there's not that many, it's, like, 157,000 or whatever." But, like, the math that out and the way that would cause and, like, that or, like, the cost to actually, like, try to buy it if you're gonna buy it with the price that he's, saying, like, that what else could we do with that money? I don't know. Universal healthcare is the first thing I
I
think of.
mean,
Oh,
childhood hunger,
UBI,
universal
like,
healthcare, increased wages for teachers, excuse me.
for
Um,
everybody.
Again,
But
he ran on America first. Excuse me,
yeah.
I have the hiccups right now.
No.
He ran on America
Unfortunate
first,
time.
and him going and saying that he wants to annex Greenland and pay these people, why? It
I
just
know.
doesn't make
I
sense to me.
mean,
It's pure stupidity.
right. I mean, it's not it's and, like, the, allegedly one of those people well, not allegedly, I guess, like, the idea of why he's, like, so into this, although I guess there's, like, there's been, like, a thing, for a couple hundred for, like, 100 or so years of, like, other presidents have, like, tried to do this or whatever, but, it's literally because, like, if you look at a map, like a flat map, and because of the way that it's called a Mercator projection. I took one GIS class in grad school, and it was, like, terrifying and hard, but I learned way too much about maps, and so, like, because it's on a 2D thing and it's, like, you gotta, like, it looks bigger than Greenland actually is, like, Greenland is not, like, in real life as big as it looks on a map, so it's, like, he thinks he just thinks it's big, and he's like, "Ooh, okay." I
And
mean,
he doesn't want Russia as a neighbor. Alaska is closer to Russia than Greenland is to us.
I was
I
like,
don't
I was
know,
gonna say
like,
it like, "Hello, don't you remember Sarah Palin? She said
I
she
can
could
see
see it
Alaska
from
from
her."
my front porch.
Exactly.
Like, it's just
Oh gosh.
I don't get it, and you can't claim to be tough when you're just alienating everyone who actually has your back.
Right. Who has historically, as you said, the only time that Article 5 has been, activated since its inception was after 9/11 for that and, I mean, in that yeah, so I don't know. It's just it is also, like, I was talking to my dad the other day yesterday, actually. My dad has been a guest on the podcast,
Uh-huh.
for those who haven't been on before, he's an elected official, up where I'm from in Ohio. And he's a county commissioner, and they have, like, control over some, like, money things, like, they don't have control of a lot, they can't, like, legislate, but they do have control over, like, how to distribute what monies they get from the state and the federal government, blah, 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 whatever. Well, they're turning down excuse me, he voted to turn down a, like, $57,000 grant from DHS to fund ICE operations in the county. And not only did he vote against it, he was like, he called ICE a terrorist organization, and he actually like laid out the, Webster's dictionary definition of, and so
Really?
he's been, and so the reaction to that, has been like, as far as, like, actual, like, calls to the office or, like, emails, actually, those interactions haven't been, like I mean, they haven't been bad. I think he said, like, how many emails he got, and he's like, "I got more emails about, a dog thing than over this." But if you look at it online, the comments are just, just foul, and, of course, they mention me too, so which is, like, I just think is hilarious because I haven't lived there in how long now, and, like,
Right.
why am I relevant to it? But, like,
Right.
um but we were talking how much of that online activity, it's not real people, they're bots. They're
Absolutely.
bots that are and who operates those bots? Foreign
Yep.
actors,
Yep.
Russia and
Absolutely.
China,
We learned
mostly
all about it in
Russia.
2020 when they have their bot farm.
2016! mean?
2016, 2020. I mean, they have their bot farms and they go and they pay these people to set up these accounts and with AI and all that, everything else, I'm sure. But it's just a bunch of nonsense that is terrifying, quite honestly, because your dad did nothing that like a normal person wouldn't do. ICE at this point is the new day Gestapo.
It's the SS. If you look at what how the SS started, that's what this is. That's what this is. They started as a private, army that was um only for, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm, like, used
Yeah.
to being on TikTok, and so I was afraid to say, like, Hitler, like, we're gonna get censored, but whatever. But
No,
yeah, like,
I don't think we'll get
he was
censored.
at the private the SS was at the private direction of Hitler. Like,
Mhm.
and I just, like and I mean, I get so mad when, like, the Holocaust didn't just happen. It didn't just like, they Hitler was elected and then they were burning Jews. Like it
Right.
didn't go that
Right.
quickly. Like and actually I saw a statistic on one of the shows today that said we've got more migrants in detention and more migrants have been detained than where people were taken from like a certain part of like Germany already. Like we're already surpassed that mark of, this prior tragedy. And I just like how do you not how do you not call that what it is? And
This group
and
of
it's
people, they whatever happened to them in their early lives, they came out and they wanted to get a job because they wanted some sense of power. And they got their
yeah,
$50,000 sign-on bonus and, they don't even have to. I watched a video the other day about a reporter who applied for ICE and
I was just going to bring that
he
up.
yes, and maybe you can explain it a little bit better. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so this was a story by Valerie Smith from Creative Loafing here in Tampa. Val is an amazing writer. You should all check her
Mhm.
out. But there was an ICE recruitment event here in the Tampa St. Pete area. And Val went as a reporter. She said like she identified she was like I'm here to do a story. I'm a reporter, but I'm going to apply and like was very honest. She got a contingent offer that day, like walking out of the building, and then had a solid offer via email, no background check, no drug screen, no nothing, an offer to start like within 24 or 48 hours after that. Like they're
Yeah,
not vetting these people. They're
not at all.
not.
Not at all. And
And
again,
that's
it's
why
people
and and that's why they're covering their damn faces. And
that
also because how many of them are January 6ers
well,
that
I can
have
only
been
imagine. And
gotten
these
out
people are
and
walking
pardoned?
around and they're terrorizing these communities. And these are people who I don't think that people fully understand that, like, even if you're here illegally, you still pay taxes. You still send your kids to school. You're still deeply woven into local economics. And like these people are going around
Exactly.
this group of individuals, this terrorist organization, because ICE is a terrorist organization at this point, is going around and parents are afraid to drive. Kids are afraid to come home to an empty house. They're afraid that they're going to get taken from school, from daycare, from their jobs, from going to the courts. I heard a story about a woman who was going to her green card application appointment, and she literally her husband was like they came in and they deported her and they was like it's not us, it's ICE, they're detaining everybody. She was applying for her green, she had already applied for her green card, and then she was at the appointment to make sure that everything was good. She did the full background check, she did everything that she needed to do, everything was perfectly fine, but she still got sent back, she still got deported.
Well, if it's true, but because who know? I this a while ago when this all started because I think it was in New York. But time is so rapid. But like they did it at I believe they did it at a swearing in right before an oath, like for citizenship oath. They went and snatched people.
I
Like
believe it.
you did everything on the precipice and you're getting snatched, like, just because and you know what? I'm just, like I'm totally to the point of, like, I'm not I'm, ICE has been spotted here in St. Pete,
Mhm.
and so we're just being very aware and, if you got a whistle on you, keep that on you. If you feel so inclined, I am a person that, I have my bullhorn in my car now, so I'm keeping that with me at all times, and it's like because these are just masked, unidentified men
Mhm.
coming up and trying to abduct you. Like, as a woman
Absolutely.
alone, like, absolutely not. Like, my fight and I'm unfortunately in the fight, flight, or freeze, my instinct is fight. So, like, it's just gonna I'll make it worse, and it's just I don't know, but, like, one of the things is that, the Kavanaugh stops of it all, which, is supposed to be if like, it's in Minneapolis, it's if you're speaking Spanish, they're gonna stop you. So, yeah, I've been doing my Duolingo ever since, Bad Bunny was announced to be on the Super Bowl because I just, like, love him. And so I wanted to, he raps so fast too that, like, even other Puerto Ricans are like, "We can't even understand him half the time." Like, "You're fine." But anyway, but, like, so I've been doing my Spanish, and I'm, going to learn, maybe some Spanish bad words and, and learn and be and just have my little megaphone and saying those to "Tu
Yeah, ICE
madre
has
es
gotten to the
puta."
point now where they're
Like
actually the ICE is pulling over off-duty police officers in
Yeah.
Minnesota. Like, they're
Yep.
pulling over they've gotten,
I
like,
saw that story too.
chiefs of police and sheriffs and things like that have gotten so many complaints about their officers being pulled over when they're off duty, and then as soon as they're the ICE goes up to the car, they're exactly the way they are, they're rude, they're arrogant, they demand all this stuff, and until that person says, "Hey, I'm a police officer," once that person says that, they turn around and walk away and don't say anything else at all. So what does that tell you? Like
Yeah. I saw a video of, I think it was down here in Florida of an off-duty ICE officer getting pulled over for drunk driving and him trying to tell the cops that he's like, "Well, I'm one of you. You guys should just let me go." And they were like, like, listen, I
no,
am not over here to side with the cops, but even the cops are like, y'all ain't us. Like,
right,
right?
there's a
It's bad when even the cops don't claim you, bro. Like,
right.
come on.
Yeah, no, and at this point, I Trump doesn't want solutions. He wants fear on the nightly news. And at this point, Democrats cannot afford to just react. We have to articulate a moral and practical alternative to this. We have to mobilize our people. This is not right. I mean, what does law and order mean when the law is selectively cruel and the order is chaos?
I mean, a word. A
I mean,
word.
that's exactly what it is right now. It's chaos. It's pure
It
chaos.
is chaos. Part of me understands that, like, there being in the minority in both chambers with the Supreme Court being the way that it is, there's limited amount of, like, what in effect Democrats could do. But, like, one of the things that they don't need to do is vote to give ICE more money under this omnibus. They're gonna get plenty of fucking money from the big beautiful bill or whatever. Why and you're like, "Oh, it's gonna be for body cameras." Why are you taking that vote?
Right,
Primary.
right,
Primary. You're
right.
voting for ICE? Primary. Like, you
Absolutely.
gotta be kidding me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I read a post and Bernie Sanders posted this and someone can double check me and fact check me, but he said that ICE right now has more funding than like the top six uh organizations that deal with law and
Militaries.
order. I mean,
Yeah.
it's absolutely insane. And I just ICE is a criminal organization and it will always be from now on in my mind. And I kind of want to jump here because I don't want to spend the whole
Yeah.
podcast talking on this. But speaking of law and order, there are now January 6th rioters um, who are demanding a refund for after they got pardoned. They're demanding their refunds for their civil penalties that they had to pay. And so, his pardons weren't about unity; they were about rewarding loyalty. And now some insurrectionists want their fines and penalties refunded. So what does that say? That literally says no matter what you do, as long as you did it for me, you're fine and you're doing nothing wrong. But meanwhile, you attacked the Capitol. You brought a noose to hang Mike Pence. You took a poop on Nancy Pelosi's desk and then on the floor of the House. What do you mean? And this was a peaceful protest? None of that was peaceful. Not a single thing of that was peaceful. Rule of law has become optional at this point because of this, and violence becomes a political strategy on their side. That's what MAGA is all
Yeah.
about now.
Well, and I don't and if he was pretty iconic. I remember watching, January 6th happen live because I was working from home at that time, and I just was like, I couldn't believe what was happening. I watched the whole thing. So, I if you remember the guy that was carrying the podium and he looks like, Walmart Chip Gaines, like, with the big bushy red hair, he's running for office in Sarasota County in Florida. In Florida. He's running for office.
Cannot.
Sarasota, Imma need y'all to get together because you voted today. Today, the school board voted to allow ice in the schools. Sarasota, get it together.
I mean, this is how democracy's wrought. Not all at once, but with the applause from people who think they'll never be on the receiving end. And it sends this
The
message
scary
that
part.
don't worry, as long as whatever you do is in the name of Trump, you'll be taken care of.
Correct. There I heard on, What a Day this morning, which is the public, Crooked Media's, morning podcast, that one of the people that Trump pardoned, some I don't even remember her name, but it was some lady for fraud, pardoned her for, like, fraud. She just got indicted again for
Yeah, several
fraud.
people have. Oh, several people have
Like,
they've ended up back in jail on different charges. A few of them I've read have gotten back in jail and been charged with domestic violence. Like, what is it?
oh,
What do you
absolutely.
mean?
I think
These are
one was
peaceful people.
charged with some, worse than that
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
charges,
sure.
like, child-related charges. So,
I'm
I
sure.
mean, it's just
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. And I just, if this goes through and if they're allowed to get their civil penalties refunded, it's
mhm,
going to be it just is another step on this slow decline of our democracy. And it's a slow burn at this point, but eventually it's going to get to a raging fire and we are going to lose
yeah.
every single right that we have.
I mean, yeah, it's y I just don't see this, like, everything that's happened in a year. I just can't even, because
It's
that's
been
the other
one
thing
year.
that's like,
It's been
it's been
1 year.
1 year as of yesterday. Like, come on. Yeah, so it's just not, yeah, I just, like, I this is what I don't even know if I wanna, like, manifest it, but, like, my tinfoil hat, and I don't even know how tinfoil hatty it is that he's just waiting, and I think it's happening a little faster than he'd necessarily like, but I think the goal ultimately is to, obviously use the Insurrection Act and cancel elections in the midterms.
I believe it. I believe it. I
Put my little hat on and, like,
I mean,
I'll acknowledge that that might sound conspiratorial, but, like,
I wouldn't put it
hey,
past
we'll
him.
check back in here and we'll check back in and let me know if I was right.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him in order to do whatever he wants to do and in order to save what little power he has, because at this point, he is a lame duck president. And, it's just a simple fact. He's not going to get reelected. He can't run again, but he will do everything in his power to make sure that he can stay in office or his political cronies can stay in office. And I, oh God. I'll let you finish up on wrapping up this topic because I want to get to another one. Speaking of political cronies,
Yeah, no, go. I'm ready. What's our next one to get fired up on?
I mean, this is about corruption, cronyism, and the DOJ.
Oh,
Political
Pam
cronies.
Bondi, our
Speaking
favorite attorney
of,
general.
Trump-aligned officials pushed into powerful roles, judges publicly rebuking them for overreach and misuse of authority. This isn't incompetence, it's an intentional degradation of institutions so they serve one man, not the public. And I just saw this. One of his appointees to the DOJ was had resigned or something after a judge had told her that, like, what you're doing is stupid.
No,
It's
yeah,
wrong.
it's the district attorney for DC.
I think so. Yeah.
DC or, she was not properly appointed. She was never properly appointed, so, like, any cases that she's filed are not legal because she was not properly appointed to be a district attorney. She doesn't fit the qualifications. So,
How do
yeah,
you fuck that up?
a Trump appointee judge was finally like, "Nah, girl, like, see you later. Like, you get out of here. You're a fake attorney. You're fake."
Right. Absolutely. Again, it's just more of his allied people that he wants to put into these positions, but they're incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. They're not qualified. They don't even have the knowledge to stand in a courtroom as a citizen, and let alone as an attorney.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, and it's just like, never forget that the prosecutor for the District of Columbia, which is like a huge, like, that is usually a very, like, highly esteemed held title to be appointed to, is fucking Judge Janine, like
Yeah.
some lady from Fox News. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she's actually a lawyer, but, like, it might as well be Nancy Grace. Like, get out of
Right.
here. Like,
Right.
are we, like, imagine if like we someone appointed Judge Judy. Like,
Yeah. I was just about to say, you don't see me running around asking for Judge Judy to be appointed to that. No, no. Granted, she's a great judge and she knows it. She did go to law school and she did become an actual judge, but she's a TV personality at this point. That's all Judge Janine Pirro is. But then again, I'm not really surprised by Judge Janine because TV personalities, you have the head of the Department of War, Pete Hegseth, who is not qualified at all to be the
under
Department of
any
War head.
circumstances.
Oh, God, I just,
Department of
all of his
Defense.
appointments are woefully unprepared, they're unqualified, they are just absolutely awful, and it's all about making sure that he has his people and people that will back him up no matter what, in positions of power.
Well, and there was a report today. He's already made $1.8 billion off the presidency.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it.
Excuse me, what? Like, you're not supposed to make money. Remember quaint ass Jimmy Carter who sold his damn peanut farm? Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Meanwhile, this is the same person in
R.I.P. Jimmy Carter,
2016.
like the best president we ever had. He's also the only president that never capitalized off of his presidency. He never went on speaking tours. He never did any of that. He's
I
the
mean,
only,
this is
even
a
Obama does that.
I mean, Trump is the same person. We're talking about the same person who in 2016 didn't cut his ties to the Trump organization and illegally kept getting all of his money from that organization. And he wasn't impeached by it. I mean, that is so vagrantly illegal
Yeah.
and just goes in the face of every law that we have, that every moral
And
that you should have as a
Constitution,
president.
the emoluments clause.
I mean, it's
Remember
just
the emoluments clause discourse of
right,
2016. Like, let's
right,
go.
right. I mean, it's just insane. I want to move on to a little bit of a positive note though, because,
Okay.
resistance is real. Um, it's
Yes.
not enough.
It's true.
Resistance is real, and we're seeing a lot of resistance right now. Nationwide walkouts and protests, they show that Trump does not have a mandate. Discontent is broad, not fringe, but marching isn't governing. Hashtags don't pass legislation. So
Mhm.
while we're out there marching and making our voices heard, we also need to be marching straight to the ballot box in November, come what may, because we need to make sure that we're voting for our power back. As citizens,
Well,
we need to make sure that we're taking our power back.
and honestly, it does you don't even have to wait till November. Their
Yeah,
candidates are gearing up for running now, and
there's
if
municipal
you
elections all across.
exactly, you got primaries coming up here, you got every congressional seat is up. Every seat in the House of Representatives is up. That we've had Marielana Kinter on. She's running down, and she's already been running. You can impact things. Go make phone calls, go send text messages. I'd say if you got $5, give them $5. Ain't nobody got $5, but if you do, give it to somebody, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean,
There's plenty of ways that you can impact now without just waiting to vote.
at this point, it needs to be about organizing, voting, and a down ballot focus. So we need to make sure that we're
Exactly.
organizing our groups. So the Stonewall Democrats, we're organizing our groups to make sure that we're out there on the road or out there on the streets, knocking on doors, talking to people as much as we can. We're going to make sure that people go out and they actually use their voice, that they're constitutionally given voice and right to
Yeah.
vote. Um, because again, it's about taking our power back. It's taking our power back from Trump, who thinks that he has all the power, but he doesn't. Protest is the spark, power is the engine, and we, the people, have the power.
Exactly. For sure. We have the power. It's ours.
Yep. So, I mean, it's a lot for us, but the question remains: what does this mean for Democrats? Stop playing defense. Stop playing
Yeah.
defense. Trump's weaknesses are so blatantly obvious. He's an unstable leader. He's alienated his allies, our allies as a country, and he's got growing public exhaustion from all sides of the aisle. He is the least liked president ever, I think, at
Since
this point.
W.
No, I legitimately think he's the most unpopular president that we've ever had. Someone can correct me
Oh
on
yeah.
like his polling is so shit that like any other president would be. I mean, I'm sure plenty of other presidents are rolling over in their graves seeing his polling.
Well, I mean, it's George W. Bush. His polling was at 37% before 9/11, and before the
Trump's, I
and
think, down to 32.
oh, is he? Okay. So yeah, I mean, sure, I believe it, but like it's just yeah, and what it but and then what did I mean, whatever. And then what's the Republican answer when you're, down in the polls, go start a war.
Right,
So
right,
that's what we're doing.
right.
Like,
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's going to be their strategy. Our strategy as a Democratic Party, we need to focus on cost of living, healthcare,
yeah,
and stability and dignity, because those are the three main issues that affect people day to day. We need to make sure that we're focusing on the cost of living because it's so goddamn expensive just to
it's
live,
insane.
just to live. It's insane.
I
And the
know.
price of gas is shooting back up. The price of groceries right now is astronomical. The price of home ownership or home insurance, even renting, it's everywhere you go. The cost of living is the worst it's ever been. And that's what we need to focus on. That's what Democrats need to focus on. And we need to make sure that we're focusing on healthcare as well because people are dying and they don't have free healthcare like they should, or even affordable healthcare like they should. I just lost my healthcare because I was on the Obama subsidies. Um, Thankfully now I do have a job, so I was able to get healthcare through my job. But a lot of people are not in my situation. A lot of people did just either lose their health insurance altogether or they just saw an increase of over 100% on their monthly premiums.
Yeah, I mean, it's in all because I mean, listen, I get the tax subsidies, premium the insurance subsidies for the companies is not the best way to fix, the ACA. It's not. But that doesn't mean you just kill it off. I mean, just like it, you don't you just we need bigger solutions. Again, the money you want to go spend on buying a whole ass country that doesn't want you, like why don't we just like
Right.
use that for the health.
He's got concepts of a plan, though. He's got concepts of a plan. Um,
Has for 10 years.
has for 10 years. Republicans have never, they have always wanted to overturn the ACA. They wanted to get rid of Obamacare, but they have never once put forward a real, legitimate alternative to make sure that
Never.
people are able to afford their health care. Not even saying anything about free health care, which I believe everybody has a right to health care just as a living being and a citizen of these United States. I believe that everybody has a right to free healthcare, but even affordable healthcare. They haven't put anything forward to make sure that healthcare is affordable, let alone free.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's just if you there's always the money to do it, there's always a way to do it. You just have to have the right people and the willpower, like, you know what I mean? Just you have to Zarhan Mamdani's already got, universal pre-K funded, and I think they're working on 2K now,
I
like,
believe, yeah, absolutely. And he's
because the
great.
cost of childcare is un out of control.
Absolutely. So, I mean, while we're focusing on that, while we're focusing on the cost of living and healthcare and stability and dignity, we need to make sure that we're focusing on our messaging as well. This whole Trump is bad, Democrats are good, that didn't work for us. Look at where we are right now. It's
Well, and it doesn't in the polls, it shows it doesn't work. Democrats are just as unpopular as Trump.
yep, yeah. I mean, it's just we have to get better at our messaging, and it becomes it should be here's what competent, humane government actually looks like, and we need to make sure that we're putting forward good candidates, not just the same people that people have lost trust in that have been in the House or the Senate for 40 years. We need to make sure that the person that we're putting forward is the best candidate for the job that can resonate with people that will actually do the job for the American people.
Yeah. And I think that, to that end, I'm definitely in the camp of, the Supreme Court has given, a Republican president a lot of leeway in what he wants to do. So our next Democratic president needs to push that bar, you know. So they said you can't cancel student debt. Do it anyway.
Right,
Doesn't matter.
right.
TikTok is banned. I'm was just on it before we started recording, just, like, because Trump decided he was like, well, I can make money on the sale of this." You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah,
gotta you have to have we need a brave Democrat. We need someone that's gonna be brave and bold and not be afraid to piss some people off.
absolutely. Because it's going to take someone pissing some people off in order to get some change around here. That's how you
Exactly.
make change, unfortunately.
Precisely.
That's how you make change. So, before we move on to our shout out and shutdown, is there anything else that any major topics you wanted to discuss or hint on real quick?
Oh, man. We wanna go can we go back to my 9/11 George W. Bush
Hmm?
election, and no, I'm just kidding.
Let's hit on it. Let's give us all the
I can do
conspiracy
an
theories.
hour just on that. Don't get me started
I'll
because
make you.
it all starts with Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. It all goes back to
Well,
him. I can do a whole TED Talk on it, but I won't.
I'll make your tinfoil hat for you. I'll make
Thank
your
you.
tinfoil hat for you. All right. So let's move on to our shout out and shut down at this point. So I'll let you go first because there's a lot that I have, and I have to make up my mind on whether I want to shout out or shut down.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do a shout out. We had Monday was a Martin Luther King Day, and I live in South St. Pete, and where they shut down part of the actual street, MLK Boulevard or MLK Street, and it's a neighborhood. It's like literally a neighborhood party. Like it we have the whole, they have the whole parade downtown, which is the longest and I guess oldest MLK parade in the South, which like
So,
yeah. But then actually the actual neighborhood, because like in the when St. Pete was being gentrified, and they pushed all the black and Jewish homeowners further and further south, and then Jews became gained a level of whiteness and people didn't hate them as much because of for I don't even know. That's like anyway, I'm getting myself in trouble. I need to stop. But obviously, black people were still discriminated against through housing redlining. So a lot of the black population in St. Pete lives in South St. Pete. And so it's just like it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it's just like it's so I mean, it smelt so good. The vibes were excellent. Like I have to shout that out every year. I love it.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. The MLK parade is, I think, the most or the funnest parade. the most fun parade that we have in St. Pete, and we have a lot because we have Pride and we have the Christmas parades and everything like that. We have a lot of parades, but I think that's the most fun. That's the one where people are just out having a good time. They're
Exactly, it's
in
lively.
happy spirits. They're just living life and being just having fun. So absolutely shout that out. Absolutely. I'm gonna keep it positive, and I'm gonna shout out something too. I'm gonna shout out, and I've done this before, but I want to keep reiterating this. I want to shout out all of the Democratic candidates that are already stepping up to the plate, and running for all of the different positions that we have open. Again, I've said it before. If you think that you want to make change and you can facilitate change, I don't care if you're running for the dog catcher or the president of the United States. Get out
Exactly.
and run. Get out and run because we need people that will actually work for people. You do not need a college degree. You do not need any sort of background. If you have ideas and you want to actually work for the American people in order to make this country better or in order to make whatever position you're running for better, run.
Yeah,
No one can stop you. Please get out and run. And again, I just want to shout out all of the amazing candidates that we have already. We've had a few of them on our podcast so far. We will have plenty more this year, I'm sure.
exactly. Yeah.
We are lining up a few, so stay tuned because we
Yes,
have a lot of interesting guests coming up.
for sure. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And if you're not brave enough to run, like, I get it. It's a big decision to make, and it's hard. Even if you're just running for school board or city council or, whatever, it's a lot to take on. But if you don't wanna do that, then, just find someone to help. Especially, like I said, the House of Representatives is up. Your congressional district is smaller than you think. You can really have an impact with your neighbors, and, it's just knock doors in your neighborhood. Or, if you don't wanna do that, then, they can help you do send text messages while you're sitting at home watching, traders or whatever.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, do something to get involved and help a candidate out. Um, Remember that Trump's America isn't strong, it's loud. It isn't proud, it's angry, and it isn't inevitable unless we decide it is. So make sure that you're staying informed, make sure that you're staying organized, and vote like democracy actually depends on it because this time it does.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I just want to say that thank you so much for listening to us yap on for the past hour or 50 minutes or so. I appreciate you all for listening. We appreciate you so much. And I'll hand it over to you for a closing.
I just yeah, I especially appreciate our audience that stays to the end, because
Yes.
it's I see the metrics and not everybody does, but that's okay. But so I
We
appreciate
love all
y'all
of
that
you.
yeah, exactly. We love all of our
But
listeners
we really
and
appreciate
viewers.
those ones
So
who stay to the end.
exactly. So please remember to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at For Saint Pete's Sake. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. And if you want to leave a rate and review to help promote the pod, we would love that. We'll be back next week with more stories from the people doing the hard work to make our community better. Until next time, for St. Pete's sake, keep pushing for change.
Bye.